like to call the meeting to order at 7:42. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this nice August night. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Pleasure of the committee.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion approved by Mr. Fiorillo, second by Mr. Denon. All in favor? Aye, 4-0. I'd like to make note also that Chairperson Lisa Bolio, Linda Teal, and Craig Duffy are absent of this meeting, for the record. Second item on the agenda is the consent agenda, the approval of minutes, regular meeting 7/9/15, special meeting of 7/23/15, the approval of minutes, executive session 7/9/15, 7/23/15, the enrollment report, the school police report, and the residency truancy report. Pleasure of the committee.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we accept the consent agenda.
Second by, a motion by Mr. DeMonica, second by Mr. Fiorillo. All in favor? Ayes have it, 4-0. Next item on the agenda is a report out of executive session meeting. Report out of executive session votes. In a vote to seal the minutes of the executive session 8/13/2015 that we had tonight at 7 o'clock. Pleasure of the committee. There were no votes? Okay. That's right, I apologize. There was a vote, no votes taken, so we're going to vote to seal the minutes of the executive session. Motion by Mr. Denon, second by Mr. Fiorillo. All in favor? Ayes have it, 4-0. Finally, we're over to the superintendent's report. Dr. Thornton.
Good evening. First, a personal update. I've had the pleasure this past few weeks to meet all the finalists as they come before the school board for appointment. I have to say I've been truly impressed with the quality of folks that I'm seeing come to my office. I think also it's really a testament to Cumberland to see the volume of applicants we're getting. For elementary, we actually had over 180 applicants for a couple openings, so we're really getting a high volume and a great quality of applicant coming to Cumberland. That's part one. Part two, just a facilities update. We are having a chance to go around the district and see where we are in terms of cleaning and opening for September, and we're in good shape. The schools are really moving along, probably ahead of pace from what I saw last year, so we're moving forward and all is well at that front right now.
Excellent. Thank you. Chairperson's report. As you know, Lisa Bolio, Chair, is out today. We're going to table this, but I can tell the committee that she is working on a school-town collaboration with the chair of the town council. So there's more information to come on that. So we're going to table that. I'm sorry, the president of the town council, Craig Dwyer. Next item on the agenda, report of standing committees. Mr. DeMonica, I'm going to pass this area over to you since I think you're taking up the next 2 pages.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Subcommittee did meet last night, and we went over the check registers with the business manager, and I would make a motion that we approve the payment of bills in $1,494,033.95. I make that as a motion.
I'm sorry, Mr. Finance Chair, one more time with the number, 1 million.
$1,494,033.95.
Finance Chair, Mr. DeMonica made a motion for the payment of bills in the amount of $1,494,003.95. Pleasure of the committee. Second by Mr. Denon. All in favor? Aye. 4-0 have it in ayes. Next item on the agenda, policy and procedures committee update. So, I apologize. I'm sorry. Mr. DeMonica, fiscal management subcommittee update.
Mr. Chairman, we did meet last night. We had some items on the agenda. We talked about the 2014-2015 budget year and where we stand. An update on the employee compensation G6 policy, the Sedesco maintenance amended contract, and a few other resolutions that will come down tonight about work being done in the district. And that concludes the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair DeMonica. Next item on the agenda is Policy and Procedures Subcommittee update. Mr. Fiorillo.
Yes, policies and procedures did meet on Tuesday night. We discussed a range of policies. The most important one that we talked about without any real action on was the the food allergy policy, which we're considering making some changes to for peanut and tree nut allergies in regards to the cafeteria and other school functions. That was a discussion only. That will be talked about more in depth in 2 weeks, and we expect to hopefully have a draft of a policy after that meeting. The rest will be coming up later in the agenda.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Fiorillo. Next item on the agenda is the Achievement and Communication Subcommittee update, which I don't believe anybody on this board right now is on that committee, so we're just going to, no update on that. It'll be in the next meeting. Sorry. Next item on the agenda is comments from the public. Would anybody in the public like to stand up to the microphone and voice any concerns? No one? Okay. The heat must have got to everyone. Nobody wants to say anything. Next item on the agenda is public hearing, reading of policies. Number 1, amended policies. I'm going to pass this over to the chair of policy, Mr. Fiorillo, if you want to take it from there.
Yes.
Thank you.
The first policy to be read into the record is G1, Affirmative Action Plan, Equal Opportunity. The only change to that policy, quite honestly, was the date, which we have to do every year. No actual changes were made to that policy. The next policy to be read would be the headlights policy, which also had, I don't believe there were any changes. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mrs. Vogel. No changes to the headlights policy. So I'll ask that to be read into the record, J9. Dispensing of medication, J12. I'm going to need to amend that here, I think. Or do we? Mrs. Vogel, help me out on this, because we have to amend it from what we did before I can read it into the record.
So at the bottom, there's a discussion and vote, so I think maybe you can read it into the record and then maybe discuss it later at the end.
Sure.
That's how you can
Let's go with that. So we'll read it, J12, dispensing of medications into the record, and also K12, the use of school facilities into the record. I'm sorry, school facilities are being tabled until 2 weeks from now. And that is it for reading the policies into the record.
Thank you, Mr. Fiorillo. Is there anyone, public comment on any of these policies? Would like to come up and speak about it? Okay. A quiet audience, which is fine. Next item on the agenda, new business. I believe, Dr. Thorne, discussion and a vote to approve additional kindergarten classroom.
Yes, that was on as a placeholder. As you know, sometimes we have numbers that kind of make us add sections or classrooms. That was on just in case, and happily that is not needed at this time.
Excellent, thank you. Discussion and or vote approval committee employee contract for the athletic director.
Mr. Chairman, that was in finance. It is the budgeted item for this current school year. And the committee voted on a 3-0 vote to approve the compensation for the new athletic director if he or she gets appointed tonight. So it was a 3-0 vote.
Excellent. Looking for a vote now, so pleasure of the committee.
I would move that we approve the compensation for the athletic director.
Mr. DeMonica moves passage, second by Mr. Denon. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it, 4-0. Is the athletic director here in the audience? Oh, okay, we'll come back to the athletic director. Discussion and or vote to approve the appointment of an athletic director.
Does Dr. Thornton want to take that one?
Dr. Thorne, discussion? or vote to approve the appointment of athletic director?
Mr. Mitchell.
Mr. Mitchell.
Good evening, everyone. I was one of several members of the interview committee. We had actually several impressive candidates, and Matt, who's here this evening, was the person who came out on top with flying colors. We're really excited to have him. He has a wealth of experience, and we see him as being a perfect fit for the Cumberland school system. So we're really excited to have him come on board.
Excellent, thank you. Mr. Mitchell?
I was add one piece. Not only is he really well qualified, he's also a Cumberland resident.
We like that. We like Cumberland residents. Excellent. Pleasure of the committee and the vote.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we accept the appointment of Matthew Campanelli as the new athletic director.
Mr. Demonicus, moving passage for the approval of the appointment of athletic director. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Fiorillo. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 4-0. Mr. Athletic Director, Matt, congratulations. Welcome to the position. I don't know if you want to stand up, say a few words. You don't have to. It's totally up to you. We can allow it. So, I personally know Matt as well, so teasing if he's in the audience, I knew he was. Matt and I have become friends, and the kids within the district actually love Matt. He's been involved within the sports, arena in Cumberland. And he's a father of a little boy and a little girl who are very cute. So we welcome them into the district. And if myself or anybody else can help you out within your new role in this committee, feel free to reach out to us. So congratulations, thank you. Next item on the agenda, D, discussion and/or vote to approve resolutions. Mr. DeMonica, I believe this
Mr. Chairman, this was in finance last night. It is resolution number SC-R 2015-08, employee compensation for the 2015-2016 school year. As you're aware, we did new contracts recently, and this is an update to the G6 policy, I believe it is, and it goes on to the website. So it's just a list of every employee that works for the school district and the current compensation for 2015-2016. There was only 2 corrections that needed to be done to this list, and that had to do with the athletic director and the part-time, and if there was a full-time. There was inadvertently, it's just a salary put in and not a range. So I would move at this time we amend the resolution to add a dollar amount. It would be $1 to X for the range of compensation, so they can negotiate things down the road. So I would move that we change the athletic director part-time and full-time positions, even though we don't have a part-time person, to $1 to the amount listed on the sheets.
Mr. DeMonica is moving passage as read in regards to SCR 2015-08. Pleasure of the committee.
So move. Yes.
Second by Mr. Dennett for discussion. Dr. Thornton, everything sounds okay with that? Excellent. Second by Mr. Dennett. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, 4-0. Next item on the committee is SCR 2015-09, Sedesco Maintenance Amended Contract. Mr. DeMonica.
Mr. Chairman, this was in finance as well last night. It's SCR 2015-09. It is the contract that we have with Sedesco Maintenance. It's for a new 2-year term, and the business manager was able to negotiate approximately $109,000 in savings in the payments to Sedesco, and I would move that we pass it on a 3-0 vote from finance.
Thank you, Mr. DeMonica. Mr. DeMonica is seeking to move passage for SCR 2015-09, Sedesco Maintenance Amended Contract. Pleasure of the committee.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Denon, second by Mr. Fiorillo. All in favor?
Aye.
Passage 4-0. Next item on the committee, SC PR 6 2015-28-A, McCourt Middle School resurfacing a parking lot. Mr. DeMonica.
Chairman, this was held in finance again last night. This was an update. As you're aware, the town contributed, I believe it was $92,000 to repave the McCourt parking lot, added it to our money that we had set aside. So we asked the finance director just to bring it back to codify this, and the amount is $196,000, not to exceed, and it is coming out between the town and the facilities 2014-2015 budget. We did previously approve an amount smaller than that earlier. I would move passage.
Thank you, Mr. DeMonica. Moves passage of SCPR 6, 2015-28A. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Fiorello. For discussion, I'd like to say I drove by there today, and the parking lot looks excellent. You know, I encourage anyone to drive through there. It's a real big improvement. It's nice and black. It looks excellent. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 4-0. I'd like to go back to the previous one real quick, SCR 2015. I confirmed that wrong. It was a motion by Mr. DeMonica, second by Mr. Denon and Fiorello. It was passed. All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda, item number 3. So it's SCPR 8, 2015-32, the middle school project Lead the Way kits. Mr. DeMonica.
Mr. Chairman, that was in finance last night. It is an amount not to exceed $26,875 to purchase kits for the 2 middle schools. This is the kits that the kids will use in the classroom with Project Lead the Way, which is starting this year. It was with Project Lead the Way of Indianapolis, Indiana. It is budgeted, the assistant superintendent's budget. It passed 3-0 in finance. I would move passage tonight.
Mr. DeMonica is seeking to move passage on SCPR 8, 2015-32, middle schools project Lead the Way kits. Do I hear a second? Second by Mr. Denon. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it, 4-0. I'm sorry, I apologize on that. Let me, I'm not going to go back, but I'm going to open for discussion to Dr. Thornton or Mr. Mitchell if you guys wanted to provide any input on any of that. The project Lead the Way kits for the middle school?
One of the courses, the new courses that we're offering at each of the middle schools is robotics class, and that particular class requires, or that pathway course is actually a gateway course for the Project Lead the Way program at the high school, the biomedical science program, and the program requires 1 robotics kit for every 5 students. So we had to purchase, and the kits cost about $1,000 each. So we had to purchase a number of kits to accommodate all of the 8th graders for the for the upcoming school year.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. I would like to say, I mean, this is the right step for Cumberland to start going into robotics. At first, when I heard it's 1 kit per 5 students, that's the average. So it's not a maximum, it's not a minimum. That's what they recommend is 1 kit per 5 students. So excellent. I know myself as a committee member, I strongly like the achievement of how we're moving into robotics and support the paving of anything coming that way and that. So excellent. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is SCPR 8 2015-33, the Cumberland High School Kitchen, new dishwasher. Mr. DeMonica.
Mr. Chairman, this was in finance on Tuesday. And what this is to purchase a new dishwasher for the high school dishwasher room. Currently, the dishwasher there is back to when the school was built. And it's being kept together by Band-Aids. And so Mark Tucker from Sodesco is asking that we replace it. It would be an amount of $39,185.81, and to award the bid to Kittredge Equipment Company of Agawam, Mass. The funds for this comes out of the restricted food service account. We have plenty of money in the account to buy the equipment, so this goes with the next one as well. This is just to buy the dishwasher only, and I would move passage.
Mr. DeMonica is seeking to move passage on SCPR 8 2015-33. Do I have a second for discussion? Second by Mr. Denon. Mr. DeMonica, does Mr. Prignano need a new apron so when he's washing the dishes? Okay. All in favor? Ayes have it, 4-0. Next item on the agenda is SC PR 8 2015-34, Cumberland High School Kitchen Dish Room Renovation Installation of the new dishwasher. Mr.
Chairman,
DeMonica?
this was discussed Tuesday night. Even though we're buying the dishwasher, we still have to have some renovations done to the room. New electric, plumbing, HVAC work to get this new dishwasher up and running. Finance did meet, and we are recommending to award the contract for the renovation to M&J Construction of Johnston, Rhode Island for an amount not to exceed $45,804. And again, this money will come from the Food Service Restricted Funds account, so I would move passage.
Mr. DeMonica is moving passage on SC PR 8 2015-34. Pleasure of the committee for a second. Second by Mr. Fiorillo. Committee, I'd like to say that I had originally questioned this one as well, but when you look at with the old dishwasher coming out, there's high voltage lines, there's a lot of plumbing, there's a hole in the wall, this unit's been there for 30 years, there's a lot of work, construction that needs to be done for it, so I feel as a school committee member that it's justified. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 4-0. Next item on the agenda is SC PR 8 2015-35, the Ashton School asbestos abatement.
Mr. Chairman, this was discussed on Tuesday night. This is to remove approximately 6,600 square feet of asbestos tile from the Ashton Elementary School, primarily the kindergarten wing. Preschool, all right, preschool. And so we voted 3-0 to award the contract to Acme Abatement Contractors of Seacon, Mass. for an amount not to exceed $28,500. And the funds for this will be coming out of the $5 million Health and Safety Master Lease Program that we have with the town. So I would move passage.
Thank you, Mr. DeMonica. Mr. DeMonica is seeking to move passage on SC PR 8 2015-35, Ashton School asbestos abatement. Pleasure of the committee. Second? Second by Mr. Denon. All in favor? Ayes have it, 4-0. Next item on the agenda, SC PR 8 2015-36, Cumberland High School Mechanical Room Repair Pipes Fittings. Mr. DeMonica.
Mr. Chairman, again, Tuesday night we discussed this work to be done at the high school. We had some asbestos removal done in a couple of rooms at the mechanical rooms at the high school. And some of the flanges and piping is, again, original. It wasn't done during the 2010 project. And we would move on a 3-0 vote from Finance to award a contract to Arden Engineering Contractors, LLC of Pawtucket, Rhode Island for an amount not to exceed $44,695. And the funds for this one is coming out of the school facility capital budget. I would move passage.
Thank you, Mr. DeMonica. Mr. DeMonica is seeking passage on the SC PR 8 2015-36, Cumberland High School Mechanical Room Repair Pipes Fittings. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. DeMonica. Second by Mr. Denon. All in favor? Ayes have it, 4-0. I apologize, folks. This is part of Matt's inauguration tonight. He's going to sit through all the resolutions of the budget committee. Two more items, and then we're going to move on. Next item on the agenda is SC PR 8 2015-37. It's a 2016 food service truck. Mr. DeMonica.
Mr. Chairman, on Tuesday night, Finance did review this. This is for the purchase of a 2016 Ford E450 truck with a liftgate. This is going to be used by the Sodesco to transport the food around the district. Currently, the truck we have is a 2005 with 180,000 miles on it that needed to be jump-started the other day. It's very costly to maintain that truck. This is going to be going through Sedesco operations. They were able to get us a good price on it. Originally, we were going to buy a truck that had a reefer on the back of it, but we've decided we're not getting the reefer. So I would move that we purchase this truck through Sedesco operations in an amount not to exceed $39,697.
Mr. DeMonica, this truck is not a special truck, it's just a regular box truck?
This is a box truck, but it has a lift in the back to get the food up onto the truck.
So no refrigeration?
No refrigeration.
Mr. DeMonica is seeking to move passage on SC PR 8 2015-37 of a new 2016 food service truck.
Mr. Chairman, I just need to correct it. This would be an amendment to SCPR 8 2015-37. Originally, it was given to us in an amount of $53,000, and that's going to change tonight. So I would move to amend SCPR 8 2015-37 to an amount of $39,697.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. DeMonica. Mr. DeMonica moves passage for SCPR 8 2015-37 as modified.
Move to amend it.
Move to amend it. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Denon. All in favor? Ayes have it, 4-0.
And Mr. Chairman, I would move passage of SCPR 8 2015-37 in the amount of $39,697, and the funds for this truck will come out of the school operations for the restricted food account.
Mr. DeMonica moves passage for the SCPR 8 2015-37. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Denon. All in favor? Ayes have it, 4-0. Last item in finance is passage of the SCPR 8 2015-38, the McCourt Middle School bathroom renovations in various schools' exterior renovations. Mr. DeMonica.
Mr. Chairman, this was discussed on Tuesday night as well. We're asking on the 3-0 vote that you award a contract to Track Builders of Providence, Rhode Island, to provide general contractor services for the Joseph L. McCourt Middle School bathroom renovations and various school exterior repairs in an amount not to exceed $438,000. I can say there is going to be a meeting between the business manager, our architect, Toronto, the contractor, to review all of these numbers here and accept the bidders for us. So I would move that we pass this in an amount not to exceed $438,000, and Mr. Prignano and the others will take care of meeting with these people to go through the items.
Mr. DeMonica, will this work be done before the start of school?
The business manager is hoping we can award this tonight and they can start going out and do some of this work here as much as they can before school starts. I can't say if they'll be working during the school year or after school. I'm not sure how this will go, but the amount of work will not get done between now and September 1st. There's about 12 different projects to be done.
Some of the work we want to get done, for example, the floors we took up in Ashton. That
Mr. Prignano, if you want to take the microphone, only so fairly the members of the audience and the public meeting can hear you.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling to hear you as well. Thank you.
While Mr. Prignano is walking to
Mr.
the
Fiorillo?
I'd just like to state that these bathrooms have been in need of renovation for a long, long time. I'm sure the parents that have to use them during special events, and especially the faculty, will be very happy with their new bathrooms, as well as they will now be ADA compliant.
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Prignano?
Yeah, some of this work we want to get done before school starts. For example, we just tore up asbestos tiles at Ashton. We want to have obviously a floor back in there before preschool kids show up in a few weeks. So some of the work we want to get done as soon as possible. You know, the bathroom renovations won't happen in a couple of weeks. There'll be some inconvenience down there for a while. And then and what we'll do is, this was the low bidder. We're going to go down and match up what our estimates were in the Stage 2 report that we submitted to Ryan was approved, and what he's bid on individual projects. And, you know, we'll have to do, maybe scale some projects back. Maybe some projects came in cheaper. You know, I mean, our original numbers were estimates, and now we're starting to get hard numbers in, and we're going to have to adjust as we go along here. So that's part of what we're going to do tomorrow.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, the funds for this project is coming out of the $5 million master lease for the health and safety that was approved by the town council.
Mr. DeMonica, that's excellent. I'm glad to hear that there's the unison between the town and the schools for projects like this. Mr. DeMonica, are you seeking to move passage on this?
I move passage. Finance voted 3-0 to approve this.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Fiorillo. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it, 4-0 for passage. Next item on the agenda, E, discussion and a vote to approve amended policies. Mr. Fiorillo, number 1, G1, affirmative action plan, equal opportunity.
Yes, G1 was passed was passed the other night on a 3-0 vote. As I said previously, there is no change to this except for the date, which we are required to update every single year. So I would move passage for G1, affirmative action plan / equal opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Fiorillo seeking to move passage on the G1 affirmative action plan, equal opportunity. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. DeMonica. All in favor? Ayes have it, 4-0.
The next item is J2, the attendance policy. This was a discussion only, and we did table it for 2 weeks. What we were trying to accomplish is to not water down the attendance policy, but to soften the tone a little bit and also have some common sense measures to alleviate some of the concerns that parents have had. One of the things would be allowing nurses who have to send a student home, say on a Monday, knowing that the student cannot possibly return the next day, that nurse will be able to excuse that absence. So that would be an excused absence without a doctor's note. But we'll have an actual draft of the policy, and I'm sure we'll vote on it, so we can have it done before school starts. So that has been tabled for 2 weeks. The next policy, J7, student suspension, was also tabled. We are looking at, excuse me, we are just looking at aligning some student suspensions with the student handbook, as well as just firming up the length of suspension and any other issues that members may want to bring up. So that, okay, J9, headlights. As I said, this policy has not been changed. It is just a matter of housekeeping, quite honestly, and that was passed on a 3-0 vote, and I would move passage of J9 headlights policy.
Mr. Fiorillo seeking to move passage on J9 headlights. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Denon. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 4-0.
The next policy is J12, dispensing of medication. There have been some changes to it. They were available in the drive, and quite honestly, we were all in that meeting. The only problem, yes, well, Dr. Santa wasn't. We did make an amendment to the policy, which I now need to make a motion to amend again. We had taken out the line under non-prescription medications. We had removed the line, this includes cough and throat, which is an FDA regulation for health regulations. I move to amend the J12 policy to reinstate that line.
Mr.
Dr.
Fiorillo,
Santa's recommendation, actually.
within this, so what we're going to do, folks, is we're going to amend this, and then we're going to seek approval. So what section within this policy, Mr. Fiorillo?
It is section 1. Section 1A.
Could you please read the,
Entire thing.
just read that section that we're going to modify?
Short-term medication administration of 3 days or less. Section A is non-prescription medication must be brought to school in the original container labeled with the child's name of medication, dosage, approximate time to be given, and accompanied by a signed parent/guardian authorization note. The part that we're going to add back in is that this includes cough and throat drops, which is an FDA regulation. Dr. Santa, I don't know if you want to speak as to why we need to put this back in.
My understanding, I apologize for not being there Tuesday, I was at a conference, but my understanding is that your concern was if students had a throat drop in their pocket, that they may be disciplined over having that. It's an FDA regulation because we're not allowed to give students anything, nor are they allowed to take anything within the school without parental permission. So all that's saying is, if they have throat and cough drops, they have to have parental permission once to take that. And I think it meshes well with your health and wellness policy, which states, and I remember very clearly parents saying, I don't want you giving my kid anything, essentially, and that kind of matches up with that particular policy. So my recommendation was to reinstate it because it is federal, and also the best guidance that we're given. It's not meant for disciplining of kids, having a throat drop, having a halls. That's not what the intention is.
All right, thank you very much. So I move passage of, I move to amend J12 with.
Thank you. Mr. Fiorillo, I'm going to ask if anybody in the audience has a question on this, because we just didn't mention this before the public comment. So if anybody wants to speak on this, please come up to the microphone. All right. Excellent. Mr. Fiorillo's looking to move passage on the amendment of J12, dispensing of medication. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Denny. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it, 4-0.
So I would now make a motion to approve J12 as amended.
Mr. Fiorillo is looking to move passage for the approval of J12, dispensing of medication. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Denon and Mr. DeMonica. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 4-0. It's like a merry-go-round. Who's going to second it, who's going to pass it? 3 members out. Go back and forth. Next item on the agenda, Mr. Fiorillo.
Yes, is K-12, the use of school facilities. Mr. DeMonica had brought up a concern about PTOs being charged custodial fees for weekends, considering that they are in the process of making money that goes back into the school. So we were looking at some options for that policy, which was tabled on a 3-0 vote, and we will bring it back in 2 weeks, discuss further, and hopefully pass before school starts.
Excellent. So, Mr. Fiorillo, if a PTO currently wanted to use the school, they have to pay for the custodian?
Only if the custodian is not scheduled for the hours that they're currently going to be there.
And we're looking to possibly waive that cost because the PTO puts back in within...
Possibly, but then we would also have to figure out a procedure, mechanism, so that when, say, an elementary school goes to McCourt isn't just bearing the brunt of everyone else's activities as well. So there's a little detail.
I agree. I like that. The PTO within all organizations, especially Cumberland, they do a lot for our children and within our schools. Dr. Thorne, I don't know if you want to touch base on that at all? Or?
I think you covered it. We're just going to see, what the cost, was being incurred by the PTOs, and I'll come back to you in 2 weeks.
Excellent. So K-12 use of school facilities was tabled, so no further action. Next item on the agenda, personnel recommendations. Personnel recommendations. Mrs. Fogel.
Good evening. I'm going to ask you to bear with me. I have a lot of them, so it's that time of year. So I'm going to start with resignations. I'll take it by category if that's okay. So the first, I request the advice and consent of the school committee on the resignation of Michael Ibarone, mathematics teacher at Cumberland High School, effective June 30th of 2015.
Pleasure of the committee. Mr. Denon makes a motion to accept the resignation of Mr. Ibarone. A second by Mr. Fiorillo. Mrs. Fogel, does he say, I didn't get a chance to look in the folder, I apologize for the personal recommendations. But within his letter, did he recognize why he was?
Has an opportunity to go to the University of Rhode Island, and his letter talks about having mixed feelings, having a family here in the math department, but also feeling that career-wise that this was the next step for him.
Oh, excellent. Glad to see he's doing something great like that. Excellent. Thank you. We have a second by Mr. Fiorillo. All in favor? Ayes have it, 4-0. Mrs. Fogel?
Thank you. Next, I have 2 leaves of absences for you, so I request the advice and consent of the school committee on the FMLA leave of absence of Jennifer Slaughter, kindergarten teacher at BF Norton, effective August 31st, 2015, with an anticipated return date of November 23rd, 2015. And Carol Spalding, special educator at Cumberland High School, effective August 13th, 2015, with an anticipated return date of November 22nd, 2015.
Thank you, Mrs. Fogel. Pleasure of the committee? Mr. Fiorillo?
I'd just also like to say that Mrs. Slaughter is a rock star of kindergarten teachers, and she will be sorely missed at BF Norton. Otherwise, I have passage.
Mr. Fiorillo is moving passage. Do I have a second? Do you have a second? Second by Mr. Denon. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it, 4-0. Mrs. Fogel?
Thank you. The next group of employees are current employees, and so that's why I separated them out for you. So as you know, we got rid of the interdisciplinary coordinators and we went back to department heads or content area leaders. And so these are the appointments of those content area leaders, and because they receive an additional stipend, they come before you. 2 of the teachers who I'll tell you, when we appointed them in February, it was also the same time that all non-tenured teachers were receiving their letters. So I didn't think that it was appropriate to appoint them and then also non-renew them in the same meeting. So we only appointed them for 1 year, so we're just reappointing them this year. That's why they're still considered current employees. So, having said that, I request the advice and consent of the school committee on the appointment of Heather Delfino, content area leader for world language at Cumberland High School, effective August 31st. This is a stipend of $3,000. Kristen Jantz, content area leader for mathematics at Cumberland High School, effective August 30th. Again, stipend $3,000. Melissa Kuzinitz, content area leader for English at Cumberland High School. Amanda Latoile, content area for social studies at Cumberland High School. Jessica Rock, the content area leader for unified arts at Cumberland High School. Anthony Silva, the content area for science at Cumberland High School. And Colin Smith, the content area leader for physical education at Cumberland High School. Additionally, I'm requesting the reappointment of Andrea Goff, early childhood special educator at the Cumberland Preschool Center, effective August 31st. She'll be a step 2 and she has a master's. And Danielle Jacinto, school nurse teacher at Community School, also effective August 31st. She's a step 2 with no lane.
Thank you, Mrs. Fogel. Pleasure of the committee? Motion to approve for Mr. Fiorillo. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. DeMonica. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it, 4-0. Mrs. Fogel?
Thank you. And so this one's, you're going to have to bear with me.
Is this
So,
the last segment of it, Mrs. Fogel?
we have coaches after this. So I have,
Okay.
I have new employees, and so before I say, I just want to thank all the building administrators and teachers who have really helped. We had a lot of open positions, and people have worked very, very hard to come in, and we did elementary. We had 22 applicants that we actually interviewed out of 180 for elementary. We went from 8:30 in the morning until 7:30 at night with no break. I had 16 people in the committee, so.
We had 180 people apply
Yes. So we've had a lot
for
of.
one position?
For 3 positions.
For 3 positions.
Yes. So we've had a lot of help from the district, whether it be administrators or teachers, help to sit on these interview committees, and I just want to say publicly that I thank them for all their hard work, because they didn't have to do that. They're helping me out. So before I list my names.
So we have the creme de la creme?
I believe we do. I believe we've made some fantastic hires. So, having said that, I request.
We like to always improve the education.
Yes.
See, when I'm speaker for the night, I like to really go off. All right, guys, sorry, Mrs.
That's okay. And if I pronounce anyone's name wrong, I'm just going to apologize in advance. So, I request the advice and consent of the school committee on the appointment of Sophie Osfroser, special educator at Garber Memorial, effective August 31st. She's a step 1 with a master's. Kelly Cleary, grade 3 at Community School, effective August 31st. She's a step 1. Erica Coletti, grade 1 teacher at BF Norton. She would be a step 3 with a master's. Amy Dos Santos, reading specialist at North Cumberland Middle School. She's a step 10 with a master's. Derek Durante, past special educator at Cumberland High School. He's a step 10 with a master's. Adam Gardner, special educator for ALP, or the Alternative Learning Program at Cumberland High School. He's a step 1 with a master's. Kristen Juneau, special educator at McCourt Middle School, also a step 1. Brandon Hanaway, social studies teacher at Cumberland High School, step 1. Stephen Henn, social studies teacher at Cumberland High School. He's a step 2. Caitlin Labosner, reading specialist at Cumberland Hill Elementary School. She's a step 1 with a master's. Brooke Lenahart, grade 4 teacher at BF Norton. She's a step 3. Molly MacGyver, science teacher at McCourt Middle School. She's a step 2. I always say this wrong. Kaylee McNally, special educator at North Cumberland Middle School, step 1. Jessica Remillard, mathematics teacher at Cumberland High School, a step 6 with a master's. Erica Ritchie, social studies teacher at Cumberland High School, she's a step 1. Jocelyn Romano, special educator at North Cumberland Middle School, step 1. Karen Rudio, chemistry teacher at Cumberland High School, she's a step 10. And Raymond Savickas, chemistry teacher at Cumberland High School, he's a step 10. So before you, I just want to let you know that Jessica Remillard, Christine Juneau, Stephen Henn, did I miss anyone? Are here in the audience.
So we have 3?
3, yes.
Well, if they want to, if they would like to come up and say something, they're more than welcome to, but don't feel the pressure, you don't have to. Okay, good. Excellent. Well, we didn't approve you yet, so you may want to make a little speech. I'm just kidding. Welcome aboard. So, thank you, Mrs. Fogel. Pleasure of the committee on the request for Mrs. Fogel. Mr. Fiorillo makes a motion. Second by Mr. Denon. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it, 4-0. Welcome aboard.
And lastly, and then I'll
Mrs.
sit
Fogel?
down. So I have the fall coaching appointments. And before I say that, I'm going to say that I am very happy that Matt is here because this has not been an enjoyable part of my summer. It's been
Mrs.
really,
Fogel,
really hard.
How many appointments of coaches do we have?
So, new or?
New.
in general?
Well, in total.
$18.
18. So, quick question, Dr. Thornton, we approved Matt tonight as the athletic director. Should we move forward on these approvals of these coaches? Should we have the new athletic director review? I don't know what the time frame is, if they need to start on Monday.
Yeah, if they hadn't vetted, I'd move forward. I'd give them the timeliness of this, I would move.
Okay.
Sports are underway. Fall sports are underway, so, I think we did a good job of like, as Dr.
Again, I'm not doubting the administration, just with the timing of the new athletic director, I don't know if you want him to go through it, or we just move forward. So you're telling me we want to move forward with these new hires?
I think Matt would support whatever we decide to do.
Okay. All right, excellent. We're just dotting our i's.
I did keep Matt in the loop. He and I he met Fallon and he and I did have several discussions about some of the slots that we were trying to fill, and he was integral in some recommendations and things. So we've been working together. He obviously couldn't work because he was not appointed yet, but we did discuss many of these appointments.
All right, Mrs. Fogel, let's see, it's 8:30. Let's see how fast you can appoint 18 people to
Let me
us.
go quick.
Ready,
All right.
set, go.
So in the drive, I starred them if they're new. You did not get the backup if they're old because they've been coaches with us forever. So cross country varsity, Joyce Bonner and Vanessa Malloy. Field hockey varsity, Jacqueline LaPointe. Junior varsity, Pamela Etheridge. Soccer, this is all girls, I'm sorry. Soccer varsity, Anthony Silva. Junior varsity, John Hoxie. Tennis varsity, Kevin Hartman. We're still looking for a junior varsity coach. Volleyball varsity, Ruth Plant. Junior varsity, Molly MacGyver, who's one of our new teachers. We were very excited that she agreed to do that. Cheerleading, we're still looking for someone. For boys sports, cross country varsity, Tom Kenwood. Football varsity, Josh Lima. JV, Gabe Gonzalez. Varsity assistant, Derek D'Souza. Varsity assistant, Jaleel Leonard. Soccer varsity, Manuel Vega. We're still looking for a JV coach. We think we have a good lead on that. For middle school sports, cross country, North Cumberland Middle School, Carrie Carpenter from McCourt, Christopher Fernandez. Girls soccer at North Cumberland Middle School, David Williams. For McCourt, Curtis Greaves. Boys soccer at North Cumberland Middle School, we have Ron LeClaire and Brent, I'm going to say his last name wrong, Scofis. We are still looking for a coach for McCourt Middle School. Done.
Thank you, Mrs. Fogel. So we have a new athletic director and 18 new coaches.
Well, no, 18 total coaches.
18 total
Out of
coaches.
those, 6 of them are new, so.
6 are new, okay, that's not bad. Mr. Fiorillo seeks to move passage of the appointment of the coaches. Do I have a second?
Second for discussion.
Second by Mr. DeMonico for discussion.
Just looking at McCourt not having a soccer coach, will they be able to split Ron Leclerc and Brent Schofield up until we get a coach down there?
That's a conversation that we are having. I think that I might have a good lead on someone. The good part, and not that this is that middle school sports don't start until after school starts. So unlike high school sports where it starts Monday, we do have another week or two. So we're hoping that by August 27th, which is our next meeting, that we will have a candidate for you so that there will be no lull. But I will tell you that if that's the case, then that would be my recommendation, that I would split them up until we found someone. I would obviously defer to Matt on that, though.
Just one more question,
Yes,
Mr. Chair. These are all one-year appointments.
They are, that's correct.
Thank you.
One-year appointments, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye, ayes have it, 4-0. If anybody is here tonight, congratulations.
Thank you, sorry about that.
Thank you, Mrs. Fogel. Next item on the agenda is the school committee comments, school liaison reports. Anybody from the committee? Mr. Fiorillo.
I'd first like to say that I'm very happy that McCourt's parking lot and driveways have gotten repaved. It's been a long time coming. I'd like to thank Pete Bradley from the town council for getting all his colleagues together to help pay for it. That was a big thing, a nice collaboration of the town and the school committee. And I'd also like to thank Mayor Murray for also getting behind it and supporting it. My second comment is that recently Mr. DeMonica has purchased a 3D printer for use at McCourt Middle School. He saw the need after a GoFundMe campaign was done for North Cumberland to attain one, and he felt that McCourt should also have one. So I'm going to actually ask Mr. DeMonica to elaborate on what he actually purchased for the use of the school.
Excellent, thank you. Mr. DeMonica?
Well, I wasn't looking for the accolades here. I funded through Kickstart. Everyone's on the internet, companies looking for money, and I bought a 3D printer, and I have no real need for it, so I bought some extra supplies and filaments, and I dropped the printer off to Dr. Masterson today, and so those kids down in McCourt will have the same opportunity as North. That was it. I wasn't looking to
Excellent.
come out and tell everyone what I did.
Thank you, Mr. DeMonica. Mr. DeMonica has a true passion, as everybody out there, I'm sure, to help the kids move forward. Same with the administration, so that's excellent. Any further? Anybody else? School liaison? No? Dr. Thornton, executive session?
We do not.
We do not. That's good. Mr. Fiorillo is making a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Denon. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Everybody have a good night. I think Matt's buying pizza.